Hey everyone, welcome in, welcome in. We are covering the case of Kelsey Smith today. It is a solved case, but it is a case that I think has a lot of important lessons. Um, in her case, how everything unfolded, as well as the legislation that has come after her case. Um, and so, not only that, but Kelsey's case is one of those cases that I kind of carry with me and utilize different things that I learned from her case, like almost on the daily basis. I will say that a lot more has to do with the fact that I go to Target so often. And Kelsey was abducted from a Target. Um, sorry, Wolfie. Hey, Aussie True Crime. Hey, VMath. Hi, Tia. Hi, Wolfie. Hi, Dina. Welcome in, everyone. Hi, Tony. So, with this case, it's like I said, it's one that I don't even remember where I saw it. Are you really, Tia? I was there earlier. Um, Hi, NorCal Bowler. Love you. Um, that I literally think about Kelsey and her case every time I go to Target. Um, and everything like along those lines. So I think like I like to keep my channel. I like to stay focused on obviously the victim in the case. So I am going to kind of tell you guys a little bit more about Kelsey, introduce you to Kelsey, go over a lot of what her family and friends have, how they've described who she was as a person, the legacy she leaves behind. We will go into her actual disappearance, her death, finding of her body, and then after that, we will be going more into the lessons learned, as well as the legislation that has come into play since Kelsey's case that's trying to make a difference in the urgency when there is a missing person in connection to the phones and location and stuff like that. So, hi, KCG. Hi, Mom. Hi, Christina. Hey, BGOG. Welcome in. Hi, Angel Sleuth. Welcome in. All right, so let's get started. I didn't make a presentation for this one, shocking. But I do have a handful of photos of Kelsey that I'm just going to overlay on the screen. I think I'm actually just going to take my camera off and I can turn it back on later. But yeah, I'm going to kind of introduce you guys, like I said, to Kelsey, give you guys the background of the type of person that Kelsey was, the legacy she left behind. And then we will be getting into what happened to her and so on. Hi, Janice. Welcome in. Oh, KCG, thank you so much for becoming a member. Thank you. I appreciate that very much. We actually, we finally, after about 3 months, hit our $100 threshold that allows you to take the money out from YouTube. And so this month, I'm actually going to be donating the membership funds to the Kelsey Smith Foundation. So once that gets in, I'll be able to share that out on my community post as well. So let's introduce you guys. Well, okay, first, I want to ask how many of you guys have actually heard of Kelsey's case? This case happened, I want to say, what, 2007? I have it in my notes. Hang on. Yes, June 2nd, 2007. And she was abducted while leaving Target in Overland Park, Kansas, and her body was found the next day. I know that's okay, KCG, but thank you. I appreciate that. Hey, LFT. Hey, Kathy. Yeah, so this one did get a lot of, hi, Aries. Ooh, Denmark. That sounds fun. Safe travels. You only have a few days left of your vacation, Aries, so be safe and safe travels. We love hearing from you. Oh, I'd be asleep. Okay. So, not only was her body then found the next day, but that also is where it kind of comes into play of the location data and the other stuff in that essence of her case. And then I'll also go into obviously the Kelsey Smith Act, as well as the different seminars and stuff that her family and friends put on through the Kelsey Smith Foundation. So, hiya, let's get started. So, this is Kelsey. This is actually a baby photo of her. It's on their Facebook group. Also, guys, any references or anything like that that I have used are all linked in the description down below, and all the videos and stuff as well. So this is off of the Facebook group. I want to say her father or her mother had posted it in one of the Facebook groups. But Kelsey Smith was born May 3rd, 1989, to her parents, Greg Smith and Missy Smith. Now, one thing that I just want to poke in here that will come into play later on is the fact that her dad, Greg, is a police officer at the time. Hi, NorCal Jim. Welcome in. It's good to see you. He's a police officer at the time of her disappearance, not in the county that she disappears in, but he is. So there is a little bit more of a knowledge as to how things work when she goes missing, which I will get into. So Kelsey was the third of eventually 5 children. I want to say had 2 older sisters, then it went to Kelsey, then she had a younger sister and a younger brother. They had talked a lot about her childhood and going up into like her high school years, stuff like that. They said she was a very kind child, but was a handful. She even said when she was a toddler, she had a shirt that said, "My name is No," which I think is a lot of toddlers need to have a shirt that says that. I know a handful that definitely need that. It says also that once she did have her younger siblings, as well as her older siblings, that she wouldn't allow her parents to like buy her a treat without getting everyone else a treat. She was very, very caring and like had that motherly instinct. When her brother Zach was born, she was 6 years old. She was very protective of him. When she was around, she would not allow for anyone else to take care of him. She was the only one that could take care of Zach when she was around, which I think is really cute, especially because she was only 6 when he was born. So, having a little 6, 7-year-old carrying around a baby is cute in itself. Another aspect to Kelsey was that she was very inquisitive. She questioned everything, and she loved trying new things. So she was very outgoing in that sense. And yeah, so I'm trying to go through. So that's kind of her childhood in a nutshell. She loved playing with her siblings, like I said. Typical, family life, nothing too crazy that like stands out in her childhood or anything like that. Even if there was, it doesn't play a role in her case, so I wouldn't share it. But just learning who she was as a person, I think, is important because it allows you guys to have somewhat of more of a connection than just a face or just a case. Hey, Kathy P, welcome in. It's good to see you. Let's see. So then we're gonna get to hey, Boodlebug. I love that name. We're going to get into now Kelsey in high school. So she actually ends up graduating high school a little over a month before she is abducted and killed. So her high school years are pretty much the formative years, which are for most people. But those are also like the years of leading up to everything. Hey, Melissa Jade, welcome in. So in high school, Kelsey went to Shawnee Mission West in Kansas. I am not sure if that's in Overland Park or if that's closer to Kansas City, but it's all within like the Kansas City suburbs of Kansas. But in high school, Kelsey did track, she did theater, she did a writer's workshop, she did art, she did choir, and she did marching band. Now, out of all of those, hi Nadie, welcome in. Out of all of those, marching band was her biggest passion. You guys can see here on the screen um the photo that I'm showing is obviously her senior night for marching band. It is a picture with her and her parents out on the field. No, that's okay, Nadie. I just got started, so you're good. We've only been live for 12 minutes. You haven't missed too much yet. Let me see. There we go. Make sure I'm not missing anything. I had to change it back to live chat. All right. So, like I said, the marching band, out of everything that she had tried, was her biggest passion. It was something that she was going to go into college for. She had followed that passion, like I said, to college. She ended up attending Kansas. Well, she was going to be attending Kansas State University. KSU is said to have had a really strong marching band program, and that was her plan after graduating high school. So you guys can see she's very active in extracurriculars. She loved that type of stuff, and she was going to continue that stuff into college. She was a great student. She was very focused, looking forward to her future. Her friends in high school that have, hey, Kelly J. Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that. When they're describing Kelsey and who she was while she was in high school, obviously is going to be different than her family's perception of her, but I'll tell you, like, now it's not that different. She was always had a very huge heart, and she had a great sense of humor. One of the things that a lot of her friends have come forward stating is that Kelsey was the person that would make an entire balloon bouquet for her friends and tie them to their lockers. And it didn't matter how close she was to you or if you were just an acquaintance. She did it for everyone. She would always put the balloon bouquets on her friends' lockers during high school. So she wanted to very much make sure that they were all, shown the appreciation and celebrated on their special days. Another thing that was also talked about in regards to Kelsey, which I'm going to kind of switch some of these pictures around so you guys can see a handful of other photos of her. And one of the things that when reading through her family's memories as well as her friends' memories, they said that a memorable thing that Kelsey had done that was very heartwarming was that whenever a loved one's friends or family, either one, had lost a pet to obviously dying, mostly dogs, she would end up hand drawing a photo of the pet that had passed and then giving it to the individual who lost their pet as a gift. And that was something that she had done pretty much from the time that she found her love of drawing till her death. It was something that she was known to do. Someone lost a pet, a dog, mostly, like I said, she would hand draw them a photo and give it to them as her condolences. Hi, Merp. Hey, Cool Gamer, welcome in. Let's see what else. She also, in high school, was part of the Shawnee Mission West Choir, and her last choir performance was actually, she surprised her parents and did a solo during the show, which it was one of their, obviously, because she passed so soon after, that it's one of the memories that they hold dearest because it was one of their last memories, obviously, with her. And then just some adjectives that people use to describe her, now this can be friends and family, were funny, fabulous sense of humor, Kelsey was very caring. She was very talented. In quotations, I have written one that makes a difference in someone's life. She was beautiful, passionate, fun, loving. And these were kind of across the board everything that people said while trying to explain Kelsey. And so, yes. One other person that will come into play, especially in the disappearance, is Kelsey's boyfriend, John. They, at the time of her disappearance, had been dating for about 6 months. Hey, Lucia, welcome in. And that kind of brings us to her disappearance. So, like I said, once I show you guys some of the footage that I'm going to show you guys, as well as give you more of the information, it may become more apparent. Like, you may start recognizing the little things here and there regarding Kelsey's case, because it has been somewhat publicized in the mainstream media. I mean, she was literally an 18-year-old girl who was abducted from the Target parking lot in broad daylight, in 2007. So I know there's been a handful of episodes on different, true crime shows. I want to say the biggest one was See No Evil on Investigation Discovery. They did one, but that's also because almost the entirety of her abduction was caught on camera. Not necessarily noticed right away, but definitely, on there. And I'll get into that as well. So this is going to take us to June 2nd, 2007. So Kelsey had graduated, May, I have it written down. May 24th, 2007. So literally, 2 weeks? May 24th to June, oh my gosh, to June 2nd. So not even, maybe like a week and a half after she graduated high school is when this happens. Kelsey went to a Target in Overland Park, Kansas, and she had actually gone to purchase a gift for her boyfriend, John, for a date that they had scheduled that night, for their 6-month anniversary. According to her parents, I don't know if there's some type of camera or something like that, Kelsey pulled out of her driveway at 6:30 p.m. that night. I believe she had about an hour, because John was scheduled to show up at her house to pick her up around 7:30 that night. And so, like I said, she pulls out of the driveway at 6:30. She shows up at the Target in Overland Park, Kansas, and she is kind of just looking around the aisles. I will show you guys some footage of that once we kind of get more into the footage aspect. But she's looking for, obviously, the gift for John for their 6-month anniversary for that date that night. But she's also looking for a gift box. So she ends up calling her mom during her time in Target and asking her, like, hey, where in Target do they keep the gift boxes? Her mom tells her that is actually on camera. The video, there's video of her calling her mom in the Target. She finds it. And I will say that phone call with her mom is the last time that she is heard from, or the last contact that anyone did have with Kelsey. So, but yes, so no one really realized that anything was wrong. I mean, her parents were like, hey, that's weird. It's getting later. It's getting later. Like, I knew she was almost done when we talked to her, but nothing, the red flags, it was more like yellow flags were waving at that point. The red flags didn't start waving until John, her boyfriend, arrived at her home to pick her up for their date at 7:30, and she obviously had not come home yet. It was at that point that her parents and John both tried to reach out to her with calls and texts going unanswered. and John, Greg, and Missy, so her parents and her boyfriend, end up going to the Target to try and find Kelsey's car. Well, Kelsey or her car, which was a 1987 Buick Regal, and her car were not there. So what I'm going to show you guys now, I'm going to play a little bit of the footage here. Not all of it, but some of it. Oh, not that one. Nope, not that one. Hang on. Who the heck is my other one? This one. Hang on, guys. Okay. So this one has that one. Okay. Share. Oh, so this one's the one inside the store. Let me grab this one instead. Share this tab instead. All right. All right. So, and this was an episode on oxygen as well. So I'm gonna, I gotta take her off the screen. This is the footage of Kelsey while inside the Target. So I don't know if there's a. Okay. Kelsey walking into Target. Really? There we go. She's going into, like I said, get the thing for her boyfriend, and actually just mute it and talk over it. You guys will see she ends up getting what she's getting. Here's her paying for everything that she needed. All right, she's paying, and here's her walking out. So that's the actual surveillance footage. There was obviously more, but her like walking up and down the aisles, it does end up helping them figure out who did this. But it's not necessarily, and I will get into like the actual abduction and stuff like that here in a second, but I'm just gonna let it kind of keep playing for a second. So, okay, that's what I thought. All right, now we're gonna get more into the actual parts of this. Share this tab instead. Well, you are in Target, Tia. Hey, J. Kels, welcome in. So this one just shows a little bit more of the footage. You guys will see the footage again that I just showed. This one's a little bit grainier. But this one then ends up showing the outside cameras, which we will get into. Actually, I'm going to leave that up for a second. Let's see. Can you guys still hear me? I just want to make sure you can still hear me because my thing is being funny. My StreamYard. Stupid StreamYard. Okay. I'm going to wait till someone says yes, and then I'll continue. Okay. Thank you, Merp. Thank you, guys. All right. So before I get into the actual abduction, I'm going to kind of go into the time frame of when they actually end up getting to the footage. So, like I mentioned at the very beginning when I introduced her family to you guys, her father had actually called into dispatch because he was a officer at the time from a different county. LT. But he is still obviously an officer. So he ends up calling dispatch and other officers that he knew from the area just to kind of see, hey, were there any car accidents in the area? Were there any traffic stops, giving Kelsey's information? And so on. So there were no reports. So he kind of did the whole, okay, let's not panic yet. Her car's not here. Maybe she got into an accident. Maybe she got pulled over and is still dealing with being pulled over. Maybe she was speeding. Who knows? But at that time, there were no other. Oh, thank you, Kathy P. I appreciate that. There were no other reports on Kelsey or her vehicle. When her father, who was also the cop, like I said, had called and kind of tried to figure that out. It was later on that night. Like I said, he was supposed to pick her up at 7:30. And And so this is all happening within a time frame of like 7:30 to like midnight on June 2nd, 2007. Her boyfriend John, once they kind of went searching around, decided to go back to Target just to see if he could find anything else. After they'd all kind of searched around and called different people and done everything that they thought that they could do. But he decided to take a detour. So right behind this Target was a mall. And so he ended up doing a detour before on his way back to Target and ended up driving through the parking lot of this mall. Surprisingly, he ends up driving through the parking lot of the mall, and parked outside of the Macy's was Kelsey's vehicle. He was able to see that it was locked. No one was inside, but everything that she had bought from Target, as well as her purse and all of her personal belongings, were all still in the car. And at that point, obviously Kelsey's father, the police officer, had been like, hey, if you find anything, don't touch it. So what did he do? He just did the overall, look over the car. She's not here. Immediately called her parents, and everything like that. And they end up getting the police there. This was around 11 p.m. So, from, she left at 6:30 p.m. to 11 p.m. They're now finding her car, parked at the local mall in the Macy's parking lot behind the Target. So it's somewhat close to the Target, but it's not in the Target parking lot. The police show up and they roped off the car for an investigation. They did fingerprints, DNA, based on everything that they were able to see and kind of put together. There was no struggle. It didn't look like there was any type of struggle in the car. It's not like there was anything broken, no broken glass, nothing like spilled, nothing dug through, different things like that. And then, like I said, her purse, as well as the gift that she had gotten her boyfriend, John, were both on the passenger seat of her vehicle. So, obviously, at this point, it's added to. So, there's more of information in regards to, the timeline of events of everything that's kind of led up to this point. They now have her vehicle. They still don't have her, but they do have her vehicle. So then it brings us to the next morning, which would be June 3rd, 2007, which is when the police, as well as her parents, right on the border of Missouri. A lot of things happen in those areas. Thank you. Yeah, chapped. And welcome. Thank you for coming in. I don't know if it's been mentioned or not, but Overland Park, Kansas is a doverb. Is that like a suburb of Kansas City? Right on the border of Missouri. Yeah. A lot of things happening. So the next morning we end up getting to the Target again. This time obviously with police. And they end up finding out that there are 40 different cameras inside Target. Oh, chap, thank you so much for becoming a member. This month's memberships are going to actually be donated to the Kelsey Smith Foundation. So I appreciate that so much. It means a lot to me that we're able to do that type of stuff. So thank you so much. But once the police show up there, obviously with her family, her parents, and her boyfriend, they all end up going to Target to kind of figure out what the hell, because that's the last time she's seen. They end up finding out that there are 40 cameras that had captured Kelsey while in the Target. Not gonna lie, I guess I always knew that there were that many cameras in Target. I don't ever do anything that's ever gonna make me nervous about that many. But I do think it's kind of crazy to think that when you're in Target, even if you go to one section of the store, potentially you're on 40 plus cameras. And those are just the ones in the store. Not only that, but the cameras had caught Kelsey arrive at the store. They also watched her browse the different aisles. The cameras picked up Kelsey calling her mom on the phone, which is what I said earlier. And then she left the store to get back into her car. She was actually only in the store for about 10 minutes, which is also crazy to think that this time frame of her being in the store for 10 minutes ends up being the case and the story of how she is abducted and killed, which is insane. This is when the surveillance ends up coming back actually from the mall, which is at the Macy's, of her vehicle actually being left in the Macy's parking lot of the mall at 9:17 p.m. One thing that's very interesting is you guys saw, which I will be playing it again here in a second, the footage here of what Kelsey is wearing. She's wearing like black shorts and a pink tank top. In the footage of her vehicle being left at the Macy's, so the place where her car is eventually found, the individual that is seen leaving her car there. Oh, really, Chapped? That's interesting. The CEO of Target was actually a victim of a crime in their early years, believed in safety, no joke. I love that. We have the Target headquarters here, which is cool too. But the individual or the figure that was seen dropping off her vehicle was a figure in a white shirt that pretty much just hopped out of the driver's seat and hurried away. The build of this person, as well as the outfit that was worn, they knew it was not Kelsey. Hey, Earth, welcome in. Thank you. It is Melissa Jade. It's very ominous. So at this point, they're seeing, okay, there's got to be someone else involved because she was not the one who went and parked her car at the mall. Someone else did. And not only that, but the person literally dropped her car off and then, bounced. Hi, Fissel. I texted you, by the way. So yes, that person kind of just hopped out of the car and then left. They didn't go into the mall or anything like that. So, all right. So after obviously finding out about the individual who left the car there, about just the figure in a white t-shirt that was there dropping off Kelsey's car, that was not Kelsey. With that new added information, the police ended up going and looking again at the Target footage to see if anything kind of pops up. Just to see if they could also see like someone in the white shirt, maybe in the Target, if that's where everything had seen. So this is when they hit the break of this case. Once they saw what they were looking for, it was hard to then unsee. There was a white male wearing a white t-shirt and dark shorts that was seen following Kelsey throughout the Target store. He followed her from aisle to aisle while she was browsing, while she was on the phone with her mom. He could always be seen either kind of walking past whatever aisle she was in or being an aisle over and kind of just waiting for her to leave a certain aisle. But on this footage, they can actively see him following her around in this Target. She was very oblivious to this fact, which we also have to remember that this is 2007. I think a lot of things now about being more aware of your surroundings is something more common times. Like, obviously, it was always something where it's like, hey, know your surroundings. But I think nowadays with the true crime genre and everything like that kind of coming to the forefront of a lot of, I don't want to say mainstream entertainment, because it should never be entertainment. But just having it be more aware and in your face, I think it's much more common now for someone to be aware of their surroundings and notice someone following them than it was back in 2007. Hi, Norris Grandma. Welcome in. How are you feeling? How's your head? But like I said, at the time, there is a lot of difference. And so I think at this point in time, you can't really blame Kelsey for any of this, which you never should, regardless. A victim should never be blamed for that. But I just want to throw that out there ahead of time. Because while researching, there were a lot of different comments in a lot of different areas of, well, if he was following her around the whole store, how did she not notice? Why didn't she go to security? Blah, 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 stuff like that. And I just think that's bullshit. So also, as soon as, like I said, she was only in this store for 10 minutes. So that's a part of this I want to be very sure about is he was following her the entirety of this 10 minutes. And then as soon as she started to go towards the checkout to leave, he is seen hurrying from the store, like going out of the doors to kind of beat her outside. But very, very aware. And so let's see. At first, yeah, exactly, Chapped. You never realize that it's going to change your life like that. And that's why I think I'm speaking on Kelsey's case and the lessons learned from her case, because there's so much to learn from it. So when they're looking through the security footage, they see both him run out, but then they also see Kelsey. So when they first looked at it before they saw the footage from Macy's, they thought that it was just Kelsey getting into her car and driving away. It wasn't actually until the videos slowed down, and then the police finally saw the man in white that they followed out of the store and were able to follow on to, hi, nonsense, welcome in, follow his footsteps as well. Oh, Chap, thank you so much. Oh, that means a lot to me. Thank you. Oh, thank you. If you guys got a gifted membership from Chap, please tell her thank you. I appreciate that so much. More than you know. Thank you. This month's memberships are going to be going towards the Kelsey Smith Foundation. So I appreciate that very, very much. Thank you. And welcome to everyone coming in. Welcome, welcome. But once the video slowed down and they also have the ability to now see, okay, we also have to be looking at him as well as looking at her, they're able to slow it down enough to see that Kelsey goes, she unlocks her car door, and as she's putting her stuff into the passenger seat, there's a person that runs up behind her, pushes her into the vehicle, gets in next to her, and drives off in her car with her. So I'm going to play the rest of this footage here, which we don't need this sound. Once again, it's showing us the footage that we showed before. Of course, now it's loading. You guys can see here her walking through the stores, her paying at the store, her walking out of the store. And then it's going to show a clip here. Here's her walking out of the store. And like I said, this is the footage of her getting to her car. And he ends up running around, and here's the guy leaving. This is the guy. Yeah. Like I said, this is kind of just footage, but obviously the FBI and the police have the ability to see things better. And so there's a lot more, like, they're able to see a lot more. Not everything was shared with the public as of yet. But once they saw this footage and they were able to slow it down and obviously enhance it, they were able to see that the man with the white shirt and the dark shorts that they just showed walking out. Let me go back to that. Nope. Hang on. Okay. This guy here. Of course, it's in with freaking Bridge Guy from Delphi. Hey, Jennifer. But that they were able to see that he snuck up behind her, pushed her into her vehicle, got in the vehicle with her, so kind of just pushed her over the middle console, got in and drove away. As you guys can probably guess, you're also able to figure out that he was the figure that dropped her car off later on that night. So if she's only in the store for about 10 minutes, that means it would have been right around 6:45, 6:50, that he ends up taking her, and he ends up parking her car at 9:17 at the Macy's parking lot nearby. Um, so it's what, little less than 3 hours that he would have been with Kelsey during that time. So based on all of this, they have the guy on video. They know a certain timeline now of events. The police end up immediately putting his photo out to the media, to just kind of try and get the tips of who this guy could be. And it worked. The tips were pouring in at that point, and not only that, but there was actually a call to the tip line to tell authorities to look into a 33-year-old man named Edwin Hall. And that was kind of the tip that set everything off. I'll give you guys a little bit of a disclaimer in that aspect. But it was Edwin Hall that ended up being the abductor and the killer of Kelsey. So one thing that happened during this case that has what her family is now fighting for after the fact is the fact that they were trying to find Kelsey's cell phone. Her family had been fighting with Verizon to try and be able to locate her location services and where her phone was located. This was something that they were fighting, being like, hey, the police are involved. We know she was abducted. She's not with her vehicle. Can you please let us know where her phone is located? It's very important. It's something that we need to know right this second. And obviously, if you guys follow any cases or anything like that, when it comes to phone companies, it is very, very hard to get, location data of someone. I will say with this one, I was a little confused because I believe she's still on her parents' phone plan. So I don't know if it's because she's 18 or something along those lines, but if the phone is under their phone plan, they should be able to get that information. But either way, they were hitting a brick wall when it came to that, and when it came to the reality of trying to get this. Eventually, with the police's help, they end up a few days later. Actually, it took about 3 days to be able to finally get the location data from her phone after about 3 days with the police's help. And on June 6th, 2007, so she goes missing June 2nd, June 6th, in a wooded area about 45 minutes from the target, near Longview Lake in Kansas, Kelsey's remains are found. One of the things about this that angers me is, yeah, PB&J, they haven't, is that they ended up actually finding Kelsey's body 45 minutes after receiving her location data from Verizon. So this is an aspect of it that I understand the security aspect of this, but if the family would have just been given the information when they asked for it the next day, obviously I don't think she would have been alive, but I do think it could have stopped a lot of heartbreak, because it did end up being the location data of her cell phone that got them to her remains, 4 days later. Hey, Nature Rocks, welcome in. And not only that, but during this time, they're also trying to find Edwin Hall, who was the guy that was identified via a tip after the police put his photo out to, yeah, me too, Angel Sleuth, me too. Once they put it out to the general public through the media. They put his photo out. The tip came in with his name. He ends up being found. Yes. Yep. And once he is brought in for questioning, his fingerprints and everything were taken, and his DNA and fingerprints end up matching to different places in Kelsey's vehicle. They were matched to ones found on the outside of the vehicle, as well as on the steering wheel and the seatbelt of the vehicle. Yes, chapped, exactly. So they were kind of able at that point to be like, okay, this is, yes, Nora's grandma. And we're going to get into that here in a second, which is the Kelsey Smith law that is passed now in 30 of the 50 states. And I will get into that. But not only that, once they were able to match that DNA, Edwin Hall ends up being charged with aggravated kidnapping, 2 counts of rape and murder. So, what Kelsey went through was so horrific in only a 2-hour span of her literally running to Target, her local Target, to get her boyfriend a 6-month anniversary present, which is absolutely heartbreaking. But one thing I think too about Kelsey's case is it's something that we all do. We all run to Target quick for something. And this happened in broad daylight. This was something that should have been prevented. And which is another reason why I'm sharing Kelsey's case with you guys. Because as most of you know, especially if you know me personally, I'm a big fan of Target. Yes, this was something. Thank you. And I often go alone, like Kelsey was. And there's a lot of things that I have learned that when I'm walking out of a Target now, I am very much aware of my surroundings. As well as soon as I get to my car, I unlock it, I put my stuff in, I get in, I lock the door behind me. I don't even know how to state it this way. I used to dilly-dally when I was getting things. I'd throw stuff in my car, I'd make sure everything's moved around, I'd keep my car door open and like put things where I wanted them to be and do everything along those lines before I got in. Or even once I got in, I'd sit there and do everything before I would drive away with my car doors unlocked. And so ever since I've heard Kelsey's case, literally every time I go to Target, I'm like, okay, I have to remember, get in, lock my doors. Don't dilly-dally with the putting stuff away. Make sure that you in that moment are safe. You're by yourself. Don't be looking at your phone as you're walking out. Be aware of who's around you when you're walking out, as well as paying attention while you're in stores. And this is not even just, sorry, Tia. This is not just in a Target either. This is anytime. And this could also include when you're with other people as well. But it's something that I carry with me on a day-to-day basis because a lot of times I'm going into stores alone, that I am very much aware of my surroundings. But I also know to get in my car, lock the door behind me, then I can I can figure out what is going on. And that's one of the main reasons that I wanted to bring Kelsey's case up today. Because it has played such a role in my life and how I handle things and how I try to keep myself safe. Good, Christina. I'm glad. You should. Yeah. Transitional spaces like going to and from your car, paying attention, buys you time. Time buys you options. Absolutely, NorCal Jim. Absolutely. But because this is something that ever since the first time I heard Kelsey's case, I've been very adamant about making those changes. I thought it was also something important to share with you guys Anyone that's listening, anyone in chat, anything to also share with friends and family. And just know that this stuff does happen, and it can happen in broad daylight at your local Target. And it's just, yeah, exactly. My main thing is just get in the car, lock the door behind you, but also be very much aware of who's walking out with you and so on. So kind of getting back into Kelsey's case again. Kelsey, Edwin Hall ends up pleading guilty. He pled guilty to all of his charges, actually. In July of 2008, in a plea deal, he admitted to what he ended up doing to Kelsey, as well as saying he would plead guilty as long as they took the death penalty off the table, which was accepted. And so, yeah. NorCal Jim, my car's a 2003, and mine does that. If I hit my unlock button only once, it only unlocks the driver's side door. I have to hit it twice to be able to unlock all the other doors, and I love that about my car. And it's a 2003, which is crazy. Okay, so then it goes more into, let me see. I want to make sure that I grab the right things for you guys. All right. He's housed at the Hutchinson Correctional Facility in Hutchinson, Kansas. He was sentenced to life in prison. Like I said, the plea agreement was just to get the death penalty off the table. But with getting the death penalty off the table, he also had to admit what had happened. So he admitted to everything. He then admitted to threatening her with an air gun. What's an air gun? I know Jim knows. Jim, what's an air gun? Is that just like an airsoft gun? So like not a real gun, but the one that shoots the little pellets, I think. Raping her, sodomizing her, and then strangling her with her own belt. Which is terrifying and horrendous, regardless, but sorry, trigger warning. I forget that sometimes. Trigger warning, guys, with that. Like I said, her body ended up being found after the family fought with Verizon to obtain her phone's location data. It only took 45 minutes once they ended up getting the data to be able to find Kelsey's body. And then after that, I mean, in actuality, her case came to a conclusion. The person who did this was in jail for life and was serving a life sentence. They were able to find Kelsey, lay her to rest. So in that sense, her case is laid to rest. Now, the aftermath and the fight for change from Kelsey's case is also very important. So on April 17th, 2009, so you guys have to remember this happened in 2007, and Edwin ended up pleading guilty in July of 2008. So a little less than a year after he pleads guilty, to get the death penalty off the table, Kansas legislature had passed the Kelsey Smith Act. So I'm going to bring up this one. Okay. And explain that one to you guys. All right. So this is kelseysarmy.org. This is linked down below in the description, as well as the different Facebook groups and all of the other articles, videos, and stuff like that if you guys would want to look at them yourselves. So this is the Kelsey Smith Act map. The states that are in the light blue are states that this act has passed in. What did I say? Sorry. Yes, he ended up getting a plea deal, Kathy P. But the deal was just that he had to plead guilty, but then not only plead guilty, explain and tell what he had done. At this point, they already had her body, so that wasn't something that he could potentially hold over them. But in the plea deal, it was that he pled guilty and they would take the death penalty off the table, is pretty much what the plea deal ended up being. So these here, as you can see, like I said, the light blue here are when the Kelsey Smith Act passed in each state. The yellow states are in the states that it did not pass. And then the dark blue are where they have been introduced, but not yet passed or failed. Hey, Deets, welcome in. Really? Interesting. I'd love to hear about that one. So I'm going to kind of get into what exactly the Kelsey Smith Act is. The Kelsey Smith Act, which I will say her parents did not name it this. I believe it was those who had passed the law within like the actual legislature that ended up calling it the Kelsey Smith Act in her honor. But it was signed into law April 17th, 2009 by then Kansas City Governor Kathleen Sebelius, maybe. I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce her name. But regardless, the act was proposed by Missy and Greg Smith, Kelsey's parents, and the Kansas City Representative Rob Olson, now a Kansas City state senator, sponsored the legislation and worked with Missy and Greg to get the bill passed. You can read the exact of the act here, but I'm going to give it to more layman's terms. So you guys, it's easier for people to understand if it's hard to understand some different acts and stuff like that. 'Cause sometimes I don't even understand with the verbiage that they use. But it says the Kelsey Smith Act provides law enforcement with a way to quickly ascertain the location of a wireless telecommunications device if a person has been determined by law enforcement to be at risk of death or serious physical harm due to being kidnapped and or missing. So in other words, like I said, I don't necessarily think it would have aided in Kelsey's case of like, I think she had already passed by the time he dropped her car off 2 hours later. But the heartbreak of the 3 days in between not knowing where she was and everything like that, I think is there, but it's also could play a part in someone else going missing and the police knowing or having it on video that they were kidnapped like they did with Kelsey's case. And then having the ability to just be like, hey, this person was kidnapped. We know that they were kidnapped. Give us the information. And that's what the Kelsey Smith Act is kind of shown to do. So you guys can see here the other, yes, the agonizing 3 days. Absolutely. Thor, I think a lot of it has to do with the privacy and stuff like that. Of at what point can the police get your phone records, your location data without a warrant or something like that. Yeah, you'd think so, Mert. But I think too, there's also that difference in it's not someone that potentially went away because adults have the right to go missing if they want to. I think when they have this exact of literally they have her being kidnapped on camera, that there's a passion for victims. Good to see you. That there should be a difference there, and the whole privacy and security of that shouldn't come into play, if that makes sense. So you guys will see here, these are similar legislation. A lot of them are still named after the Kelsey Smith Act. They're just called the Kelsey Smith Act. You guys can see the different dates here. The first one obviously was Kansas, as that's where her case took place. Then it was New Jersey, in January of 2010, Nebraska in March of 2010, Minnesota, which is my home state, in May of 2010. Yeah, Thor. I think too, it's more of just the overall. I think there's some states that are a lot more like, hey, Mo, welcome in. A lot more protective of those types of rights, I guess. Um, and even though this act, the Kelsey Smith Act, potentially there's not really a downfall because everyone's going to want it if someone they love goes missing, that there's also the overall of this is just infringing on your privacy. Do I agree with it? No. But it kind of, I don't know. But the latest one was Illinois, that on August 20th, 2021. Like I said, I have this link down below as well, for you guys if you guys want to go to the interactive map or anything like that. So, yes. Let me see. So, there are also, the Kelsey Smith Foundation or Kelsey's Army, as you guys can see here, this is the website for Kelsey's Army. Hey, Titanium Built. They also go around the country. They travel the country with doing different programs. So one of the main things that they go around, obviously, is a safety awareness seminar. So this is kind of what I had touched on previously, in regards to like being aware of your surroundings, and when you're walking out of a store, look and see if there's anyone walking close to you, or as soon as you get to your car, get in, lock the door, don't dilly-dally around your car, don't organize things with your doors unlocked while you're sitting there. Different things along those lines. But her family does go around the country doing these different types of seminars. So they will do it to groups, schools, colleges, businesses. It's real world information that can be implemented to enhance personal safety for youth, young adults, and adults. They also keep up with the latest in safety and awareness techniques to utilize in your daily life. Number of people being found because of this bill. Okay, Thor, I'll Google it in just a second and see. They also have the safety awareness seminar of simulating individual experiences, which is the SASSY program. So there's a parent seminar so that parents can go to it to listen. It goes over violent crime rates of youth and young adults and kind of teaches how parents could potentially protect them in that sense. And so on. So then you can also do custom ones and everything like that. Another big thing that her family has been very vocal about is self-defense. I have listed down below a bunch of the different self-defense ways to get self-defense classes in your own areas, so on and so forth. I also, one of the other things that I had, let me grab this one, was this website here, which is the selfdefenderkit.com. This one here, you can go on here. It's linked in the description down below, and you can get a different kit. These are for nice if you are alone a lot and traveling a lot. It's compact, portable, easy to use. There's a bunch of different tools. You can get the tools on their own. You could also potentially get, hey, MK, get the tools as a kit. And it's kind of a bunch of different tools that you can utilize just for self-defense. Obviously, they also advocate a lot for self-defense classes. Learning how right, Mo? Learning how you could utilize your body to protect yourself, I think, is also very important. But I do think it's also very important to potentially have these types of things with you, a safety alarm, the different keys that can have a a sharp thing pop out, the car escape tools, a multi-use tool, and so on. There's also a ton of different ones. And you guys can see here. So like I said, this is down in the um information, or in the description down below is the link to this website. I'm sure there's a lot of other websites. I know that there's a lot of TikTok shops, Amazon shops that make their own little kits like this. Um, but this is just one that I kind of found that had everything, where you could buy it either as a kit or singular if you already have something else. Um, but this is something I think that is could be very important, male, female, um, and so on. So, um, let me see what else we've got going. I think that's everything I had to share with you guys. Like I said, everything down below is linked. Everything that I've showed you guys or shared with you guys today is linked. I'm gonna throw up Kelsey's picture one more time. And yeah, that one. How do I do that? Shift 5. No. How do I even do this? I'm messing with my my layouts, but none of them are changing. Edit layout. Whoa. I should not be doing this while we're doing this right now. Can you guys see that? Or is that just me? No, it's just me. Forget it. All right. You see me what? I know you can see my hand. I know. I was trying to get myself like over here so you could see me completely with still keeping her picture up, but it's not letting me like change it so that the overlay's on one side. Oh, interesting. Okay. So I'm going to look a few things up quick. I'll stop my camera so I stop giving you guys a heart attack. And then, oh, fun, Aries. And then I'm going to Google that. Okay, hang on. I'm going to Google what Thor's question was. Has the worked? Let me just check. I want to say yes, based on different things that I've read. But give me just a second. Of course, it's not on this page. Okay, it has each individual bill being passed. Oh, awesome. Okay. Okay. I swear I read it somewhere that it did. That there was like a handful of times where this actually had aided in. Hang on, let me see if it was in here. Okay. On the Wikipedia, it says in at least one instance the law was acted upon. In February 2015, in Lenexa, Kansas, not far from where Smith had grown up, a man stole a car unaware of a 5-month-old infant inside. While in flight, he also ran down a pedestrian in a hit and run. The police found the car a half hour later at a convenience store after having pinged the baby's mother's cell phone, which was still in a purse on the front seat. The driver escaped and, as of 2015, was still at large, but it is believed that once he realized the baby was inside, he decided to ditch the car. As an addition to car theft and a hit and run, he would face kidnapping charges. So that is at least one time when it had worked. Let's see. But it does say here that the United States Congress is debating on federalizing the Kelsey Smith Act. So that's really cool. I just don't think I could give any. I don't. Yeah. Ask the judge for mercy when they have done something horrible. Absolutely. Hey, Adrian. Welcome in. I'm trying to see if there's any other Kelsey Smith Act enacted. There's a lot of different things if you guys were to potentially just type in Kelsey Smith Act. Like I said, each state goes over their different bills. Everything is a little different. So in March 2024, the House passed the Kelsey Smith Act. Other than that one, I swear I read that there was another one. Okay, let's see here. This is January 2021. Seriously? Oh, it's a video. I don't want to show you guys a video that I haven't watched yet because that can get dangerous. But yeah, do you guys have any questions? I'll go through a few more of these pictures of Kelsey. But like I said, her family has done a really good job of doing these self-awareness seminars, as well as potentially, helping with finding self-defense classes in your area, and different things like that. So, show you guys a few more. What do you guys think is the most important thing to learn from Kelsey's case? I'm very interested. I can't even imagine, Mo. It's got to be. Do you have like one of those the self-defense kit type of things? Another picture of Kelsey with her parents in high school. And remember, guys, it was only about a little over a week after she graduated high school that this happened. So I am quite curious to hear your guys' thoughts. Good, Aries. We missed ya. All right. Let me take that off. Start my camera. My hair's super flat today. I was talking about this earlier. Pepper spray and knives. There you go. Surroundings and distractions. Yeah. Especially today with a lot of our world being on the phones, on computers, stuff like that. I think there can be a huge, amount of people that just don't pay attention. But I also think too, a lot of times we don't worry about things as much when you're in a public place, like at a Target, in a very public area, and so on. So it's like, it's almost harder to be, you have to be even more in aware of everything going on. Oh, that's what I'll do. I can do some comments now. You need to be alert of surroundings, and if something looks out of place, drive away. Yeah. Or, one other thing that I think is really important is go back inside the store. If you are uncomfortable walking out to your car alone due to something you've seen, or even just in general, if you're like, shoot, someone has been in way too many of the same aisles as me, get someone to walk you out. Oh, I do that too, Mo. Absolutely. One thing to be aware of your surroundings and the people in personal space at times. Absolutely. Um, Backing into spots when parking is good, as it would allow you to get out quickly. Other than a pew pew, your car used as a battering ram could save your life. True. I think you also potentially give a little too much power to the ability to back in because I can't do that. So, surroundings and distractions. Let's see. Locking your car as soon as you get in. Absolutely. I think I taught you that, Mom. I think. I started doing it a lot more, and so did you. Um, yep, always knowing where your closest exit is, as well as a second exit, just in case. The first exit is blocked for some reason. Um, Pepper spray comes on keychains. You can almost always attach one to your. Yep, absolutely. I will say it. The one time that I get a little not mad, but was when I like go downtown for concerts. Like when I go down to Minneapolis for a concert and I can't bring, even if I know I have to like walk to my car late at night after the concert, I can't bring my pepper spray because you can't bring it into a lot of venues. So that's something that I would utilize some of the other tools, I suppose, um, and, and so on. Oh my gosh. Also, be alert when parking, especially by larger vehicles. Yes, especially vans, vehicles that have the doors that can open sliding wise, stuff like that. Um, a lot of stores have security guards, and they're more than happy to walk someone to their car. Yep, store. That's 100%. I know our Target has a security guard all the time now. I don't know if all of them do. I would assume a lot of them do. Um, oh yeah, do not hide your vehicle between bigger vehicles. Yep. I like to try to walk out with other people, especially at night. Yeah, I think it just gets hard. I find it interesting because, like, I was thinking about this yesterday. I went to the store, I was by myself, and I happened to walk out, and the person that I walked out next to was literally the car next to me. It's like, okay, so all of a sudden there's a car next to me, and that out of all the cars in the parking lot, it was them that was in the car next to me versus like one of the other hundreds of cars in the parking lot. And I found it weird because it's always like when you're walking out, it's always the person in the car next to you. Um, Practice the 4 point rule when filling up your gas tank, which means going to all four corners of your car as it fills up to be more aware. Hmm. I Nothing violent, I don't think. From my understanding. I think he had a handful of things, like petty crimes, but nothing too crazy. I did that when I was in New York. I could be, but I don't know. I don't like breaking the rules. I've not carried a person over 25 years because it attracts criminals. Oh, hmm. Deets, I think that's the one I just answered. Yes. Okay. My son experienced that, so he went to get one. Looked like lipstick, having his girlfriend carry it. Oh, hmm. Because I know when I was in New York, luckily I'd brought multiple. So I had one in my purse with me when we went to the museum there, the one that's right off of Central Park that has like the lions at the entrance. And they were like, "Well, you can hide it. I don't know if it'll be there." And I was like, "Thanks. We just walked here. We have to walk back." Um, but oh dang, I caught up. Yes. Sweet. Do you? Well, that's one more reason to be even more protective of yourself, you know? But yes, so other than that, I want to thank you guys for listening to Kelsey's story today. Once again, this was Kelsey Smith, abducted and unfortunately killed out of Overland Park, Kansas. If you guys need any of the resources that I have brought up today, whether that be the self-defense classes, the self-defense kits, anything like that, as well as all the references for all of my notes today, all the videos that I shared with you guys today, those are all down in the description down below. If you guys need to get a hold of me, my link tree is pinned in the chat right now. It is also in my description down below. I thank you guys so much for coming back. I know I suck at keeping a schedule, but I'm working on a few things right now. I'm trying to learn pre-records at the same time so that I could potentially get more stuff out. And yeah, I do know, hopefully I'll be pretty consistent over the next month. And then starting in October, we have Maddie's trial. I don't know yet if I'm going to trial or if I'm helping family and friends so that they can go to trial, as in with childcare, stuff like that. I'm kind of just going down to where I'm needed. But I will be down there. So yeah, there's a lot going on. And I think that's everything. And once again, guys, thank you for allowing me to share who Kelsey was as a person. If you guys missed the beginning of the stream, we went over a lot of the legacy that Kelsey left, the type of person that she was, because here on my channel, I find it very important to remember the victims of a crime as people and not just as the crime that they became known for. So yeah, also, once again, this was a case that has made a huge difference in my life. And I hope that you or anyone else potentially has the ability to make changes to keep yourself and your loved ones safer while out and about. And know that anything can happen anywhere at any time, even your local, very busy, very crowded Target in the middle of the day. So I thank you guys. I will be back soon. And please share out this video to get Kelsey's story out there. And I will see you guys very soon. Bye, guys.